Hi, everyone, and welcome to Campground Confidential, a podcast about starting, running, and growing your campground business. I'm Stephanie Puglisi. On each podcast episode, we'll talk to campground owners and other experts in the outdoor hospitality industry. We'll hear stories about what it's really like to own a campground, the good, the bad, and the ugly. From Park Vendor Review, this is Campground Confidential. My guest today is Garrett Weber-Gale, who describes himself as a husband, father, athlete, and entrepreneur. He is perhaps most well known as an athlete, having won 2 Olympic gold medals at Beijing Olympics in swimming, and for having broken 8 American records and 4 world records, one of which still stands. Garrett started his first business at the age of 12 and went on to run a sports nutrition business. He continues to grow his outdoor adventure business, Discover Term, and was a partner and COO at Campground Booking that he helped sell to Camping World in 2021. He's now building a new hospitality brand called Gather Campgrounds. Garrett feels most alive outdoors, training, and most enjoys exploring the world with his wife and 2 kids. Welcome to the show, Garrett.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I am so glad you're here to tell us the story of your very recent campground opening, right? Tell us, when did Gather open up for the very first time?
We welcomed our first guests February 1st, just a little over 4 weeks ago. It's been really exciting, particularly since we worked on this for several years leading up to this process. So actually welcoming guests for the first time has just been a long time coming, and it's been really fun.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, right? Opening
No,
those campground
no.
doors. Well, we know that here at Campground Confidential, and that's why I wanted to have you on to talk about this. I mean, I know you've put years of work into this opening. And that can be hidden, right? That's hidden labor that a lot of people don't see, but we like to talk about it here. So before we dive into those years of opening it up, just tell us about Gather, where it's located, what kind of campground it is. Paint the picture for us.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Gather is in about a 25,000 person town just south of Temple, Texas. It's about 45 minutes north of Austin. We are a 141 site campground that is striving to reinvent the guest experience for RVers. We want to do really cool things to make their experience really elevated, give them awesome experiences, connect people with the local people and places and things going on. We have a bunch of guests on site now, and it never gets old. I just get so excited when I see a new reservation come in, when someone drives in with an RV, when someone comes into one of our buildings and they're like, "Oh my gosh, look at this place! We're so excited to be here." A family just arrived yesterday from a long drive from Michigan, and it's so cool to finally be open and welcoming people on site.
Absolutely. And how would you position your campground in the world of it? I mean, are we talking resort amenities? Is this more of an overnight spot, a destination campground?
Yeah, it's, I would say, a destination. We're catering a lot to short-term folks. We're across the highway from a big expo center that hosts over 400 events per year. Anything from huge rodeos, county fairs, dog shows with 3,000 dogs, monster trucks. Tom Segura, a big, comedian, is coming there Saturday night. They might be landing a helicopter on our site to bring some folks over there. So, um, we're targeting a lot of folks who want to come have a great experience. We have a lot of folks coming in for a spring break with their family, a big group of people coming to the area for a softball tournament. We've had a bunch of people find us, and they've just stopped overnight as they're making their way up or down I-35, going to other places on their travel. And we're also hosting people who are working in the area. We have like 8 RVs in there right now. They're working on a big solar farm that's going in just 10 miles east of us for the next 4 months. So, um, a lot of different types of people. And one of the coolest experiences so far is seeing all the different types of people. We have, a woman who's almost 80 who just came in a big class A by herself. She travels the country like that alone. Um, and we have families and people who are working on the road. So it's a really cool experience seeing just a lot of different types of people and learning about their life and what they're doing.
Yeah, that's a pretty broad demographic, right, of folks that so I'm assuming you're dog friendly at the
We
campground.
are. We have two dog parks. We require dogs to be on leash, but yeah, we have two dog parks, and a lot of people have dogs. Um, I don't know what other types of animals they have in their RVs. I don't really ask. I have heard of people who have gerbils and hamsters and rabbits and birds, but only dogs are allowed outside technically.
Okay, all right, good to know.
Yeah.
We'll definitely put that in the campground profile. All right, so any other major amenities on the grounds that either you've already built or that you're looking to build in the next few years?
Oh yeah. So it's fully built at this point. We have two really beautiful amenity buildings, 12 private bathroom suites with huge walk-in showers, uh, a beautiful lounge where people can come play shuffleboard, hang out, watch TV. We have a really beautiful camp store, a full gym, two laundry facilities. We have indoor storage units that guests can rent. We had a family who's actually here now. They're going to Florida. They're going to leave some of their stuff behind in one of our storage units so they can come back and get it on their way back through Texas as they head back up northwest. Two dog parks with a huge outdoor playground for adults and kids under trees, where we have lawn games for adults. We have all types of Ninja Warriors, hanging stuff, slack lines, hammocks, swings, a really big lawn where we have a frisbee golf hole. People can hang out, a beautiful pool with poolside patio where people have actually been in the water. The water is like 64 right now. It's warming up fast, but there have been people like every day in the pool, kids
They're from
primarily
up
with their
north. They're
parents.
from our
Yeah, they are
parts.
from up north. Yeah, but people are using the pool, and we got that open 2 weeks ago, and it's really fun to see people in the pool. So we have a lot of amenities on site. We have some big rallies coming in. We have about 40 airstreams coming in about a month for a rally, and other types of rallies we're hosting later in the year that are a lot of them actually associated with events going on at the expo center.
It sounds like a place I wanna visit now. I have to say the best thing that you just said that I love was the playground for adults. I
Yeah,
love that you said that,
yeah,
right? So often we center that kind of play, right, about around
yeah,
younger, demographics, but, us oldies wanna play a little bit too, right?
yeah,
So I love the idea of the
yeah,
ropes
no
course
doubt.
and things like that. That's so much fun.
For sure. We wanted to make it a place where both kids and adults could play. So we have two beautiful covered patios on the outside of buildings with, big TVs and lounging areas where adults can play and watch sports and hang out and have a happy hour with food trucks that can come up next door. But then we have the playground next door for adults and kids. We're actually about to install strewn kind of festoon lightings in the playground, and we didn't make this a typical playground. We didn't want to have the normal jungle gym that you buy from the company. So we have a bunch of huge trees in there. We hung things through the trees. We have a big climbing dome. We have hammocks hanging out for adults and kids to lounge in, picnic tables. We're putting Adirondack chairs up there. So we wanted to create a more natural play element. Um, I have two kids. They go to schools where they have a lot of natural play elements, and those are much more captivating for them than just the typical like plastic metal gym that you can get everywhere else.
Yeah, sounds fun for everyone. All right, so
Yeah,
let's
thanks.
back up then and talk about the origin story. Obviously, you opened up with everything fully built, it sounds like. So
Yeah.
this has been a long time in the coming. So tell us where the idea came from, how the actual process of working from idea to opening those doors about a month ago happened. Tell us the story.
Yeah, absolutely. So Keith Paget, who you know, he's a
Hmm.
dear, dear friend of mine. He and Alyssa actually originally were going to start the first Gather Campground up in Montrose, Colorado, and they decided to not move forward. We were potentially going to work with them on that, and that ended up not moving forward for a number of reasons. And we really loved the idea of gathering people together and creating a space where people could make memories. And so um, we carried the torch forward with Gather Campground, and we partnered with some folks who owned the land they bought 7 years ago, where Gather is currently now. Some dear friends of ours who've built and operated a bunch of different hotels. and we wanted to figure out how we could create the best experience camping. And so it's been really a 3 year, almost 3 year construction process, and a lot of different roadblocks and challenges and contractors that have been a struggle. We got tons of rain in Texas, unusually for a period of time, that made the site inaccessible. So we had delays in that front. It seemed like we were going to open a year ago. That was the schedule. And then it was like
Hmm.
August of 2020, 3. And then it was November of 2023. And then finally, February 1st of 2024, we actually hit the date.
What was the impetus for the location that you chose? Was this very business driven, strategy driven, or was it a combination of where you wanted to personally be along with some of those business factors?
The location really was driven by the fact that the expo center is across the highway and they host so many big events there throughout the course of the year. And it's also on a massive thoroughfare. I mean, I remember I've looked at the stats. I don't know exactly what it is. It's like 400,000 cars are coming by that property over the course of like a day, something ridiculous.
Mhm.
Um, so a lot of people are traveling. If you just sit on the interstate there, you'll see RV after RV after RV. And so we knew this was going to be a popular place that people would want to make a stop over. Maybe you're driving from South Texas up to Oklahoma, you're going from, San Marcos up to Colorado, and you want a place to stop. And so this was a place. Also, it's a very emerging area. Waco to San Marcos is the largest growing corridor in the entire US. That whole area is growing. Manufacturing jobs, businesses, tech companies are coming to that area, and we knew there'd be a lot of people who also needed to work and find a place to stay temporarily.
Okay. So in the competitive landscape, did you feel like you're in the forefront of this area, or are you filling a niche that you don't think some other camping opportunities in the area are filling?
There are other places in the area. There are two nice places in the area. They are full. I don't think there's any place in the area that provides the type of amenities and experience that we provide. We are the most expensive in the market.
Mhm.
Um, and we knew that there was going to be a lot of demand for this based on the fact of how fast that area is growing. They're very limited in number of RV sites they have at the expo center. They only have 55 sites. There is no overflow for where those people are going to go. And so we are the overflow of where folks are coming to stay if you're coming to a big event, and
Mhm.
you know they have 100 RVs that are coming in for a dog show and they only have 55 spots. We're the obvious place across the street to 2 minutes from here, the expo center.
Right, so location was a big differentiator, it sounds like, and then you top that off with all of the amenities that you're throwing in that you don't think really exist in other places.
Yeah, yeah.
What you mentioned some of the early challenges that you have. You did say there was weather,
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
contractor issues. I don't think any I've never talked to anybody that's built or opened a campground that hasn't
Hmm.
mentioned those types of things as well. Um,
Yeah.
but were there things that you really didn't see coming? I mean, were what were some of the things that really caught you off guard just because we do like to help people that are I think a lot of people right now, there's a lot of interest in what you're doing, right? There's more
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
now than ever before that are thinking, "Oh, do I want to build a campground? Do I want to buy a campground?" What did you
Yeah.
not see coming, you know?
I mean, biggest thing we didn't see coming is we underwrote the opportunity at 4% interest rates, and construction loans are floating, and the construction loan is currently over 10
Yeah.
percent interest. And so uh, that and construction costs have dramatically gone up. I mean, they were up and some things have come down, but just
Yeah.
generally it's much more expensive. And I'm on a bunch of these forums of people looking to buy RV parks, build RV parks, and I would say we're very fortunate to have a partner who was able to financially make
Mhm.
this happen. It's not something that I would say anyone should go into lightly. I think a lot of people can go bankrupt trying to build something and or have to sell it for pennies because they couldn't, bear going from 4% to 10% interest.
Right.
Um, in this type of climate. And so that was certainly a huge thing that we did not expect. And then you pile on the construction delays, and then that even makes it more challenging from a financial perspective if you don't have a long runway. So that's something I would say really beware of. And then we're learning a lot of things in terms of what is really important. And so I just saw a post today. Someone was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about making 20-foot wide RV sites and 40 feet long." It's like our shortest site is 48 feet, our
Mhm.
longest site is 81 feet. And I mean, I wish we had made every site 60 feet long or 65 or 75 feet long. There's just so much value in site length. Um, Our amenity buildings are in the middle of the park. A number of people have mentioned how that's so amazing to them because
Mhm.
it's so much more convenient. A lot of parks have an amenity space on one side, making it convenient for some guests and really inconvenient for other guests. Um, that was something that we learned that's been a lesson that we kind of just surmised from people telling us. We had kind of an idea, but it's been really cool to get feedback from guests. And I would say the bathrooms, like if you're looking to build an RV park, bathrooms are the top of the list of what you should go insane on. And I never realized this until recently. A guest came out at one of our showers and he was like, that was like, his face was like, that was incredible. And I was like, I'm so glad to hear that. He's like, I have a 30-foot RV, but my water tank is small. So I can
Yeah.
only take a short shower. And so he's like, to be able to come into a huge shower like this, that's all tiled and beautiful, it's like, it's a totally different experience than I ever get. I mean,
And
that
I
is a
hope you
bigger
have
wow
hooks.
factor.
I hope you have hooks because that's
Yeah,
people go
totally.
wild
We
because
have,
you go into this
yeah,
bathroom to use it and there's nowhere for
right,
you to hang your towel,
right.
your
Yeah,
toiletry bag. It's like you think,
yeah,
"Who thought this through?"
right. We have towel hooks, we have clothes hooks, we have a bench, we have grab rails in the shower, we have a huge shower head, we have a wand shower head that you can take off. Um, like I would actually say prioritize great showers over a lounge. Like people have
Right.
used the showers way more than the lounge.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing the complaints you can walk away with in your head from a shower and you
Yeah.
and then go to Facebook and people,
Yep.
spout off about it. So you're really
Totally.
putting thought into things that are
Yeah.
daily frustrations
Yeah.
for
No
some
doubt about it.
RVers. That's great. I like to do a little bit of trend talk on this show and just, everybody's putting out reports these days, right? It's a big thing that everybody does. And they say, oh, this percentage of people are booking within 2 hours of home or whatever. And I always like to pressure test that when I'm talking to actual campground owners and sort of what the trends that they're seeing are. And I think that with you, I just wanted to touch base on one of those things that all of the trends are talking about, which is that more people are working from the road. And I think that it used to be like this idea of you either were a full time RVer, right, working from the road, or you worked from home. And now I think it's more of a blend, like people just bringing their work along with them for these longer trips, these destination trips. Did you consider that trend in the building of the campground and what you invested in?
Absolutely we did, and that's why we have such beautiful spaces where you can go and work, whether it's a lounge, places to work in the playground area that's shaded, outdoor patios, pool space. We have a lot of different places that someone can work with outlets, and we have the outlets you can put, USB-C into. So, there's a lot of different ways that we provide access for folks to work on the road. We have had a lot of people actually who either work full time or part time on the road coming to stay with us just in the first 5 weeks. I also do know that that is really popular. I worked at Camping World Good Sam for 2 years, and we saw that in the data and feedback we got from campground owners that they had so many people coming in to stay with them who were working on the road and they were looking for those types of amenities. Um, there's no question. I think that's a huge thing, and it's going to continue to grow as people realize during COVID, I can work remote, and I'm able to do it successfully. And now there's a whole different type of life and exploration that I can have, and we want to support that and facilitate people doing that on the road.
Yeah, I just saw a post in one of the owners' Facebook groups, that was like, I want to encourage people to disconnect and you know, I don't feel bad if my Wi-Fi isn't great. And I thought that was really out of touch with my own experience, whereas I can
Yeah.
actually spend more time with my kids if I can do an hour's worth of work, right,
Yeah.
in the morning, and if I can make sure I can touch base with my emails or get back to any clients with any questions or submit something to my editor. Like, if I can do those things, then I get to spend the whole day with my kids. I don't have to be
Yeah.
tethered to my house, right?
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
it's kind of, to me, like, you know, an outdated view, like, "Oh, don't work, focus on your vacation." It's like, I get to vacation more if I can work on the road.
Yeah. Right. And I should say, additionally, we have gigabit internet at the site with 19 towers that provide amazing lightning speed internet for everyone. And that was really important. We have 141 sites, and we need to be able to support everyone being online, everyone streaming at the same time. If you're not doing that, you're missing a big opportunity. But that is that comes with a cost. I don't ever know what was a lot or a little bit of money to people, but we'll spend about $25,000 this year on just internet for that internet service to be gigabit internet at our site, lightning fast. But we want to provide that for our guests.
Right, so that's an example of the money where the mouth is, right? It's like you're saying
Yeah,
that this is something that's important to your campground, but that also
yeah,
comes with a high cost, and I think that that would be a high cost, right? Because for a lot of people, because usually you hear the highest operating costs in the world of, like, utilities, right? Like power and
yeah,
insurance, and it sounds like you're paying up in that, echelon for high internet, for good internet too,
yeah.
for sure.
Oh, and I want to bring this up because I'm very curious. This is something that we're going to test, and I hope that
Okay.
people can give us feedback. But so we charge obviously for someone if they want to stay for a month, but we don't currently charge for someone electricity if they want to stay for a night or a week.
Mhm.
We are going to get to the point where we charge electricity on all stays, and we actually think it's much more equitable for the guest. We can charge probably a lower rate and also bill folks for electricity because let's say you have someone come in, and we've had this before. We had a guy come in, he has a huge 45-foot Class A, and in 2 days he used almost $20 worth of electricity. Someone next to them was, in a 18-foot camper with two people, and they used about $7 worth of electricity. But if they're both staying for the same night, they're both paying the same thing
Mhm.
in the current scenario, just industry wide. And so one of the things that we're curious to test from a guest experience standpoint is how can we give people an experience of what they're paying for is actually equated to what they're using. Probably not from a water and sewer side, but I think electricity, there's a big opportunity in the industry to make it more equitable for people based on electricity usage that's not just for monthly stays.
Yeah, you're at the forefront of this for sure. This is I the more owners that I talk to, the more vendors that I talk to, the more I think that we're going to see this as a major shift um in campground infrastructure and management. So, you're not the first campground owner to talk about this, and the equity of it I think is something that's going to be an education challenge, right? For campground owners, but it's a worthwhile one probably,
Yeah,
especially as, I mean, you didn't it we had some owners from California on the show, and they're dealing more with, e-vehicles, right, than maybe some folks in
totally.
other areas of the country, and I said, "Well, someone else may not be dealing with this now like you are in California, but they will be." Right?
Absolutely, they will be.
Yeah, so take
Yeah,
note.
and that's basically putting another RV on the same site.
Exactly. Yeah, right. It is not a nothing burger, right? So it is something that I think we have to keep a close eye on in terms of both the adoption of that by campground owners and then also the reaction to that, as you said, by
Yeah,
campers and what that learning
yeah,
curve is for them to understand how it
yeah,
can help everybody pay for the experience that they're having.
yeah,
But
totally.
the industry got over dynamic pricing, right? So maybe this is that next big hurdle. So,
Which
well,
also is
yeah,
just mind-blowing to me because, like, no one pays the same cost for an airline ticket or a
right.
hotel.
Or hotel, yeah. But
Yeah,
in the campground industry, it was so disruptive,
right. Yeah,
even though it existed fully in other in
Totally.
other areas.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
campground industry gets to be very different in a lot of different
Yeah.
ways,
Right.
right? So let's dive in. We always like to have campground owners do a short little mini master class for all of our
Yeah.
listeners. I ask y'all to think of something that you are just passionate about or as an
Yeah.
owner really dialed into. And I noticed that on a lot of your website and your marketing materials, you were really talking about the guest experience. And that seemed to be really driving focus for what
Hmm.
y'all were doing at Gather. So I was hoping
Yeah.
maybe you could talk to our listeners about what that means to you. And then also specifically, tactically, things that you've implemented that you feel will enhance the guest experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. So, this really started back probably in 2008 or 9. I started apprenticing in, really world-renowned kitchens around the world when I was still competing as an athlete. And I saw, folks would come into an amazing restaurant, they could have a bad day or whatever it would be, and they'd have this experience, and like their entire energy would change. They'd feel amazing when they left. And I thought, what a cool thing that you can provide some type of hospitality experience and really change how someone feels. And we want to use Gather as a vehicle for providing people these really amazing experiences and really reinventing, reimagining the guest experience for our viewers. So some of the things that we do on that regard is we call people a week out before they're going to come. We ask them about their trip. Where are they coming from? Why are they coming to this area? What do they know about the area? What types of things might they like to eat so that we can be mindful of connecting those things that are going on. We try and be really mindful of knowing like, hey, this guest is coming in, their in-laws, his in-laws the father was just diagnosed with cancer. They're coming in, they just bought the trailer, they're trying to make more memories. And so like, how can we help them make more memories? So when they show up, we not only upgrade them to a deluxe site that has a fire ring and a smoker grill so they can enjoy that time with their in-laws who the grandfather was just diagnosed with cancer, but we have firewood sitting there waiting for them because we know having a fire at a campground is one of the ways you can make memories.
Mhm.
Um, but there's a woman who I mentioned. She's in her 70s. She came in. She's traveling in a Class A Freightliner bus. This Newmar by herself, and we're talking to her. Something's not working right on her rig. So we find and make an appointment for her to go to the Freightliner dealership 10 minutes away the next morning because her cruise control is not working. We don't make her do it. She doesn't know the area. She doesn't know anyone. So we call on her behalf. We make an appointment. We give her the directions. We tell her who she's going to go talk to at the Freightliner dealership. Um, these are the types of things that we can do for people. Everyone can do this kind of stuff. It's just, are you willing to put in the energy and the effort to thoughtfully ask the questions to the guest of what is important to them, how you can facilitate a better experience for them? So, those are just a couple examples of ways that we're trying to provide people a better guest experience. We also ask them ahead of time, hey, we know sometimes RV parts are challenging to find. Is there anything on your RV you're trying to work on? We have an RV service and parts center across the highway from us. So we call ahead and ask them, is there anything that we can find you part wise that we can have waiting for you at Gather when you arrive, or have a remote technician come on site to help you fix? So those are just some of the examples, like little things that we can do to elevate their experience. Tell them where to go have dinner as a family, tell them about a cool event that's going on. Um, there's a great book I love called Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara, and I think everyone in this space should read it. And that gives a lot of examples and inspiration of how you can go above and beyond for delivering on guest expectations and really blowing them away.
It makes people want to go back, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it that feeling when you leave a place and you have felt cared for,
yeah,
um, at a place that you've stayed, it's remarkable how that feeling stays with you and draws you back to those places. So, this will not be an easy unreasonable hospitality will not be an easy thing for you to always provide, right? Considering
yeah,
challenges in the workforce and
yeah,
everything. But it's so refreshing to see that as a public commitment that you've made, a marketing commitment. Like you're saying that this
yeah,
is what you're going to experience when you're coming to our
yeah,
space. So I think that that is
yeah.
going to be special for a lot of our viewers. I can't
Yeah.
wait to see the reviews start coming in.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, the first 10 reviews are 5-star reviews on Google. Um, and they talk about the experiences that they're having. Like that family who came in, they came one weekend. Before they left, they booked another weekend, and then they actually told other friends to come with them. So it's like there is a snowball effect when you see people, when you hear them, when you treat them as a human and pour your energy and love into them. There's a really big sense of value you can create for them and your business.
Yeah, I love that. That's really inspiring. So, we are going to dive in now to wrap up the show into our
Hmm.
lightning round, which is where
Hmm.
I just fire questions at you
Yeah.
and you give me your best answer or you sit there and stare like a
Hmm.
deer in the headlights. So, I'm going to start off with what was the biggest mistake you made building the campground?
Choosing the first horizontal site contractor, it was $1 million less expensive. It ended up being a mistake that probably set us back at least 6 to 9 months. We ended up
Oh,
losing a bunch of money on it, and that was a big mistake. We learned a lot from it, but figure out how to choose the right people the first time and be willing to pay more money for it to get the job done right and on time, because every minute you're not open is just, lost reservation revenue.
yeah, powerful but expensive lessons, right?
Yeah.
As we go through this
Yeah.
life. What was your absolute favorite thing about building the campground, the process?
Yeah, just imagining what people were gonna think when they walked in, like the bathrooms. We went over the top on the bathrooms, like anticipating what were people gonna think, and then like people have literally walked in, and I give tours to people all the time, and their jaw just drops. They're just like,
Right.
"What?" That was really exciting to kind of imagine in our heads and then see it come out.
So, would you ever build another campground?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to build a bunch more of them. So we want to provide this type of experience on a much broader level, and we hope to be able to do that over the next coming years.
All right. I think that we already know the answer to this based on our previous conversation,
Mhm.
but dynamic pricing or no?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dynamic pricing.
I
Yeah.
knew that was coming. And what about promotional pricing?
Um, I don't know. We are about to do a promotion with RV Share for the Eclipse. I think there's merit to doing that when you can, eh, add value to a company. There aren't spaces in Central Texas available for the Eclipse now. We're providing something for their audience,
Hmm.
and we're going to give their audience a promotional pricing for it. I mean, I think I get all these promos like stay 5 nights, get
Hmm.
6 nights free. It's like I don't think that for me as a consumer, that really moves the needle. I need to want to come to your place in the first place. It's not that I'm getting a free night because I know that I'm paying for it somehow. It's like, do I want to come there or not?
Yeah. All right. So jury's out on that, but you'll
Yeah, I don't
probably
know. I don't
you
know
don't
quite
know. You
yet.
don't know. That's all right. That's all right. Do you ever camp for fun?
We do. We have loved RVing with our kids. My wife and kids and I love being in small spaces together, so it's really conducive for us.
I love that. All right. We'll finish up with this one. What now that you've been through this process, what do you think people get wrong about what it's like to be a campground owner?
I mean, I've certainly I underestimated the amount of energy on site and time on site and the amount of different things that people are going to need and ask you for. I mean, that was a kind of a miss, like I just misjudged it, frankly. I mean, you got to expect to be there a lot and provide this experience and really spend time training your people to train their eye to see the things that you want them to see, and then, train their behavior in a way to act out the values of your business.
Yeah, I think that I've been around enough campground owners to think that is, you need about what, 500 hours in the week to do it well. It is not something that you
Yeah,
should walk in too easily. So, Garrett, congratulations on the opening of
thank
Gather. I
you.
really can't wait to see all your success. I love the focus that you're putting on the
Thank you.
customer, and I'll be watching.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Campground Confidential from Park Vendor Review. If you are a campground owner, operator, manager, or employee, make sure to sign up at parkvendorreview.com to search for vendors, read and write reviews, and access our library of resources. If you are a vendor in the outdoor hospitality space, head over to parkvendorreview.com and claim your listing today. We'll be back with another episode of Campground Confidential, but until then, visit us at parkvendorreview.com, where we make vendor decisions simple.